Okay, too long again. Questions? Yes?
In your research, did you come across any anything on the church sending at times delinquent priests or priests that were not functioning properly where they were to Latin America, or criminals as well?
Criminals, no. Criminals were not were forbidden to go. Priests who were not functioning properly. Not that I'm aware of. No, I didn't come across that.
I've read stuff that seems to imply that, so I don't know whether it's just fabrication again or what.
I mean, it might be a way of, a priest who's not functioning well, let's send him off there and get rid of him. I mean, the bishop might do that.
Yeah.
He might, let's get him out of my hair here to send him off there. That could have happened. Again,
but not in numbers. I mean, this was probably the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yes?
When you say that when the colonists would go in and they would pacify, what do you mean by pacify?
I mean to conquer militarily and then to impose an order on the people, so that they make them under the rule of law of the Spanish conquerors.
Then after they were pacified, they did have a choice to convert still, or?
Oh yes, for sure. If you ever read the story of Our Lady of Guadalupe, that's until then it was very hard to convert people in Mexico, but once Our Lady appeared in Guadalupe, it was a huge conversion, probably the whole country. So it's an interesting story to read, and of course there were some forced conversions. There were abuses for sure, but the impression you have is that there were not. It wasn't a wholesale thing at all. That they really were converted through the fact that the missionaries knew the local language and that they were able to preach, and Our Lady of Guadalupe was on their side, and so all the grace was there for the conversion as well. Anyone else?
Fascinating.
Now I tell you another story. I'm sure you will remember this, because for young people, not you, but other young people in Latin America, I took a big risk a number of years ago. When I was, so to speak, a missionary, I pretended to be a missionary, but pay attention, because I want you to tell me if I have to go to confession or not, to the priest or to father. Okay, the story is this. I'm so happy. It's connected with what you said, Father Anthony. Education. You have given us, both in church and here, a taste of what a genuine Catholic education is all about. The worst enemy of the church is ignorance. You are educated. I'm happy that I came to on purpose. The story is this. Since my missionary community is involved in education and in hospitals activities. So when I was in charge of the community for 7 years, 1985 to 1992, when I was made a bishop, I went to Latin America, to Brazil. You didn't touch Brazil, Paraná. But the other two, Peru, Colombia, Chile, and so on. Over there, even today, it's very difficult to give education to young people. Different difficulties than the time that you were referring to. In some countries there, Paraná, I'm talking to Brazil, the government makes sure that they don't receive education, so that you can crush the poor if you don't give education. You are American, so you understand all the education. So from the Vatican, I went there. I had $90,000 US to do what? In the school. If you plan, there is a proverb which says, if you plan for 10 years, what do? You plant a tree. If you plan for